Welcome back to Inside City Hall's Decision 2012 coverage. We're in the middle of a congressional debate between Democrats Charles Barron and Hakeem Jeffries. I got a question for you, Charles Barron. This goes beyond sort of city council resolutions. Foreign affairs is part of what a congressperson has to do. They can declare war, foreign aid, many issues come before them. You've supported and you've drawn a lot of criticism for supporting Muammar Gaddafi, for supporting Robert Mugabe. Have you changed your mind about that?
I look at my foreign policy as a broader foreign policy issue than that. America took Muammar Gaddafi off the terrorist list. America deals with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya because of oil. America deals with Zimbabwe. When you get on another level and we're talking about foreign policy, my foreign policy statements start with Africa. Africa is the richest continent in the world, and it's not going to be recolonized through fair trade agreements, debt to the IMF. So when you look at people like Gaddafi and others, they were trying to put together a bank where you can borrow money, African nations, from that Central African bank and not be enslaved to the IMF. Then there's the Caribbean Basin Initiative, that we have to have fair trade and not free trade that rips them off. You have Latin America that's in a shambles and they need more foreign aid. And then you have Europe. If Greece, if Spain and Italy, if they go down, the euro goes down, that affects the global economy.
In both of those cases, though, in the case of both Libya and Zimbabwe, the issue is about gross human rights abuses.
Yeah, but there's human rights abuses all over the world. And if we want to start there, we can start right here in America with the stop, frisk, the racial profiling, the 50 bullets for Sean Bell, the 41 for Amadou Diallo. We can talk about human rights abuses all over the world.
Okay, fair enough. I think I got my answer. Any response?
Well, I certainly can't compete with Charles Barron for the pro-Gaddafi vote. But what is clear is that my opponent's support for Muammar Gaddafi, for rogue international dictators, is really not the issue. What troubles a lot of people in the district, as I've consistently heard, is the fact that Charles Barron has been willing to go after the President of the United States in such a reckless, vicious, and disrespectful fashion. In the context of Muammar Gaddafi, my opponent called the President Obama essentially a murderer for the killing of Muammar Gaddafi.
That's a lie.
Now, this is a rogue international dictator. That's a matter of public record. It's a rogue international dictator. This is someone who's a clear terrorist. This is someone who has brutalized and killed his own people. And that is simply irresponsible rhetoric. It's irresponsible rhetoric to have called the President of the United States essentially a tool of the white establishment. It's irresponsible to have said that the president essentially is an Uncle Tom who's got an F grade as it relates to doing business on behalf of black folks. You see, there's no credible argument that can be made that my opponent will go down to Washington and effectively represent the interests of the people of the 8th Congressional District if he's attacking the president and the White House consistently.
This is his immature way of trying to use Obama to give himself credibility. I was out to support Obama before him. Bill Perkins, Diane Foster, we were the first ones out. We reserved the right to be constructively critical of the president. He's trying to use that because his campaign is desperate now. They're falling behind. He's losing the momentum. So now he's going to bring in all of this stuff about Obama. That's not happening in the district because I've been around the district even more than he. And everybody knows that I will be the best thing for Barack Obama because Barack Obama's challenge in this and his administration is not just the Republicans, it's the conservative blue dog Democrats. He needs someone like me that's going to bring a movement to Washington, D.C., not someone who's going to go along to get along and influence nobody.
That's actually not constructive criticism. That's clearly not constructive criticism to attack the president in that fashion. And your statements are inaccurate as it relates to early support for President Obama. Everyone understands that many of us in the state legislature in Brooklyn as well, myself, Senator Eric Adams, Senator John Sampson, Kareem Kamara, all endorsed Barack Obama in the summer of 2007 at the same time following Helen Foster and Bill Perkins.
Okay, I promise you guys a chance to ask each other a question. I'll let you go first.
You stated during your announcement speech in November of 2011 that it wasn't your intention to go down to Washington to pass a single piece of legislation. In fact, you indicated that you had no interest or belief that you would be able to do so. Now that seems like an extraordinary statement, but your record in the city council, as was just talked about, indicates and evidences the fact that you've had no willingness to actually move legislation. Now, we've got a district that has a foreclosure crisis.
Ask the question.
Ask the question, not a statement, a question.
How can you credibly claim
Right.
that you will be an effective representative on behalf of the people of the 8th Congressional District without an intention to move a progressive legislative agenda?
I got it. Let's be real. You know you're not going to pass a single piece of legislation in the House that is now ruled by the Republicans. There are 435 members of the House, and the Republicans are in charge of that. What I was stating is the reality. The likelihood of me getting legislation passed without a real movement is slim to none, and that's for you too. And what I said to you is not that I don't get things passed in the city council. I do. I have to take a different, more creative route. A lot of legislation that I think of, I have to make sure that someone else is the prime sponsor so that we can get a hearing on it. And I've done that with plenty pieces of progressive legislation, more than you, because you're just getting started in this business. So it's not true that I don't think that legislation is important. You just have to deal with reality. It's a Republican control.
You can ask a question.
Why should we trust you? You flip-flop on Atlantic Yards. You flip-flop on charter schools so you can get money from the hedge funds. You accept money from the PBA, and you can criticize Roger Green for doing that when you ran against him. That's the Police Benevolent Patrolman Association. I call them the Brutality Association. You took money from them. These are people who protect the killers of Amadou Diallo, the killers of Sean Bell. You've taken money from them, and you talk about towns. You have Vito Lopez with you, and people think he's controlling you, that you have no say-so over a lot of things that Vito's going to want you to do. So why should we trust, if you do all of this flip-flopping, why should we trust you when you go to Congress?
Well, you have no evidence that I've ever flip-flopped on any of those issues. In fact, this is just another example of the reckless type of charges that you've been making for 10 years on a wide variety of people, from President Obama to Governor David Paterson on down. Now, what's the source, Charles? I mean, is it the Charles Barron Encyclopedia on Conspiracy Theories? The fact that I've allegedly been controlled by a variety of different figures has no basis in reality. I've consistently stood up for the public school system. My children attend the public school system. I fought Kathy Black, sued Commissioner David Steiner, voted against the reauthorization of mayoral control. I'm the prime sponsor right now on legislation designed to shut down the school closures that are out of control in the city of New York. We all recognize that the public school system has failed so many people for decades. Tens of thousands of children have essentially been doomed to life sentences of disadvantage and despair. And so we can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. So I have supported choice. It has nothing to do with individuals who are supporting me. I've had more than 2,300 individuals contribute to me in the context of this campaign. Is it your theory that each and every one of those individuals controls me? That's an insult to someone who's been a very independent elected official.
You talk to the Atlantic Yards people, he flip-flop. You talk to the charter school people, he flip-flop. This is not true, Errol. When you get out in the streets, everybody knows that he's flip-flop, that he gets a lot of money. And he even tried to make it appear that the hedge funds is not contributing to the charter school movement when we were on another channel.
Let's address the Atlantic Yards issue,
Errol.
Gentlemen, we are absolutely out of time.
You flip-flop, Hakeem.
JeffriesForCongress.com is the website for Hakeem Jeffries. CharlesBarronForCongress.com for Charles Barron. Best of luck to both of you. Thank you for spending some time with us, and we'll talk again real soon.
Got it. So much.
Right now, we're going to take a break. They're shaking hands here. Don't forget that if you live in this district, the congressional primary is Tuesday, June 26th. And we're going to host many more debates this month. On June 11th, Democratic congressional candidates Eric DeLon, Dan O'Connor, and Nydia Velasquez will face off. Then on June 14th, Democrats Charles Rangel and Adriano Espaillat will be joined by Joyce Johnson and Clyde Williams. On June 18th, we'll be hosting a debate with the Democratic candidates running for a new congressional seat in Queens. That's Liz Crowley, Rory Lanceman, and Grace Meng. Plus, on June 17th, Father's Day, I'll be right here, joined by the host of YNN's Capital Tonight, Liz Benjamin, as we moderate a debate between the three Republican candidates for U.S. Senate. That's Wendy Long, George Maragos, and Bob Turner. Still to come, I'm going to ask the four members of our Consultants Corner what effect last week's job numbers could have on the presidential race. We're back in a minute.